The Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Glory to you, O Lord. At that time, Herod the ruler heard reports about Jesus, and he said to his servants, "This is John the Baptist. He has been raised from the dead, and for this reason these powers are at work in him." For Herod had arrested John, bound him, and put him in prison on account of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, because John had been telling him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." Though Herod wanted to put him to death, he feared the crowd because they regarded him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday came, the daughter of Herodias danced before the company, and she pleased Herod so much that he promised an oath to grant her whatever she might ask. Prompted by her mother, she said, "Give me the head of John the Baptist here on a platter." The king was grieved, yet out of regard for his oaths and for the guests, he commanded it to be given. He sent and had John beheaded in the prison. His head was brought on a platter and given to the girl, who brought it to her mother. His disciples came and took the body and buried him. Then they went and told Jesus. Now when Jesus heard this, he withdrew from there in a boat to a deserted place by himself. But when the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot from the towns. When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them and cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is now late. Send the crowds away so that they may go into the villages and buy food for themselves." Jesus said to them, "They need not go away. You give them something to eat." They replied, "We have nothing here but 5 loaves and 2 fish. And he said, "Bring them here to me." Then he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowds. And all ate and were filled. And they took up what was left over of the broken pieces, 12 baskets full. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Comfort foods. We all have them. Whether it's splurging at your favorite restaurant or indulging in a pint of ice cream on your couch at home, there's something, comforting about our favorite foods. Oftentimes consumed in response to feelings of stress or anxiety, boredom, loneliness, or even physical pain, comfort foods have become well-worn coping mechanisms, in turn evoking feelings of nostalgia, safety, and belonging. Scientifically speaking, it's all in your head, literally. As nutrition consultant Kristen Kleinfelter explains, when we perceive that we are safe and our needs are being met, by eating comfort food, for example, our brain chemicals begin to change. When we eat our comfort food, our hypothalamus releases dopamine. Dopamine tells our body that it can expect a reward. Simply thinking about our comfort food can trigger a dopamine release and begin a cycle of motivation and reward. Some studies suggest that dopamine, working together with other hormones like serotonin and adrenaline, can reduce stress and increase pleasure, if only temporarily, thus leading to our habitual desire for our so-called comfort foods. Comfort foods can be cultural, varying by nationality or region, while others are highly individualistic. Myself, for example, Ben & Jerry's Americone Dream has played a big role in keeping me sane during every presidential and vice presidential debate since 2016. Simply put, whatever the particular choice of cuisine, comfort food is food that produces a pleasant emotional state. If anyone had need for comfort food, it's Jesus. Grieved over the gruesome death of his fellow preacher, prophetic forerunner, and friend, John. Jesus is emotionally gutted, and he withdraws in a boat by himself to a deserted place, looking for a moment of peace to catch his breath, to process what has happened, and to grieve. Jesus' solitude is short-lived. Apparently the crowds needed to process too in their own way, not retreating by themselves to their own deserted places, but flocking together to their trusted teacher. For what? A word of hope? Reassurance? Prayer? Or just not to be alone? There's hardly a one-size-fits-all grief. This gospel, the second half of it, is such a familiar story told in all four gospels, the feeding of the 5,000. We know that part by heart. But lost in the scope of the lectionary and Sunday school flannel graphs is the backdrop to this story, on the heels of political violence and death, in the shadow of grief and fear. If anyone had a need for comfort food in this moment, it's Jesus. And yet, in this moment, it's not his own needs he seems to be concerned with. When Jesus comes ashore, he doesn't get back into the boat to retreat further away. He doesn't tell the crowds to go away and come back tomorrow. He has compassion on them. He sees their suffering and he cures them. He sees their hunger and he feeds them. I was overworked, tattered, tired, bleary-eyed, anxious, food writer and cook Danny Palumbo recalls. Emotionally, I was a void, completely burnt out. He hadn't walked into the cafe expecting anything more than to work and to meet a deadline. He certainly wasn't there to unload his emotional baggage on the unsuspecting cafe employee who simply asked, "How's your day going?" Sensing earnestness, he writes, I told her that I bemoaned my job, that I needed a break, that I felt like I was working myself blind. She encouraged me with soothing, practical advice, no platitudes. Ask my boss for some vacation time. Stick to that vacation time. Use some to visit family. And she didn't stop there. Do you want me to make you something to eat? She asked. No longer was the relationship merely transactional. This wasn't like any other cafe order. When she set down the plate with the simple, off-the-menu, free-of-charge tomato and cheese sandwich in front of him, the sound of ceramic to limestone triggered something, as he could imagine every plate reverberating through history, thousands of years of people sharing meals in huts and houses, in castles and dining rooms, during famine and war, family strife, dinner parties, weddings, holidays, celebrations, and wakes. Are you hungry? Is a much different question than, do you want me to make you something to eat? Palumbo reflects. One is a functional, pragmatic query. One is asking somebody to sit down, take a load off, humble themselves, and accept a little kindness and a little bit of someone else's time. Suddenly, it wasn't about just the sandwich anymore. It was about being drawn into community with another human being who cared. It had been a long day for everyone, and it was starting to get late, no doubt. There was nothing around, and the vendors in the closest villages would be closing up shop soon. Don't you think we should send them away now, Jesus, so they can go buy food for themselves? The disciples helpfully offer. A little bit of comfort food after a long day, perhaps. No need, Jesus says, and then orders the crowds to sit down on the grass. It's a curious detail, isn't it? Stay here. Sit down. Now, there's no mistaking that Jesus feeds hungry people, 5,000 men, besides women and children. Maybe the bread and fish even triggered a dopamine surge. I'm not sure that's the miracle, though, or the point. In their grief, in their wandering, in their uncertainty, Jesus feeds hungry people, hungry for bread and more than bread, hungry for connection, for community, for belonging. Stay here. Sit down. Take. Eat together. The miracle here is an invitation to be, to receive comfort food, comfort community. Gathered around this table, here is Christ's invitation to be, to receive. However we come here, whatever weighs on us, food that comforts, food that revives, food that saves, food that draws us together in community.